Hey, Hill, welcome. So, what'd you think of the show?
Wow, I have not been here before.
No,
This
this
is this is amazing. Man,
indeed.
I spelled tree with an A.
Well, sitting through that movie will do that to you. Anyway, so uh,
God damn it.
let's see. I believe you were saying you were impressed that they let each rent a PhD finish his thought.
Well, it's not this thing. He like Ken Ham said his usual Ken Ham spiel, and Ray Comfort said his usual Ray Comfort spiel. I just
Hmm.
felt they gave each person a very good representation of their own voice.
That they did, and another thing about letting people finish their entire thoughts um, during that movie was that Um, I don't really recall much new. It
Mm,
was all the stuff that we've heard. There were a couple of new. Apparently, they update things when they get into trouble.
did they?
Oh, yes, they update. Well, here's the real reason that happened. Not what we said last week. This is this week's real thing. Um,
It
it
didn't
did.
seem that way to me. It seemed like just basically I could very well describe this as instead of Genesis Paradise Lost, part one, by the way. And once I found out that it was part one, I just wrote a giant WTF in here somewhere.
Yeah.
Let
Wait a
me take a
minute.
look. Let me take a
Wait
look.
a minute. Genesis Paradise Lost. Wait a minute. That's not the title I wrote down. Where the hell's the title I have? Oh, right. Uh, I'm sorry. I didn't write down. I didn't write that down as the title. I wrote Genesis 14 bucks lost. uh, anyway,
Fuck you.
the yeah, what I was with the updates to yeah, it's almost as silly as flat Earth theory, creationist theory. I'm sure you remember the part about the great "How did the light get here?" conundrum from anything
Oh, I
over.
remember that.
Yeah,
I
and
hold on. Give me 10 minutes to find where in the hell I put it. Where that I scribbled that in here frantically.
yeah, old. The I think the
It didn't seem like any. I could very well describe this movie as all of the creationist arguments, just all of them, and
that
they haven't seemed to improved or changed anything. It's basically just all the arguments, no matter how bad.
well they did up this one was updated.
I
They didn't say anything
I,
about
I
light
demand an
changing
example.
speed. There was in the past they used to babble about, well, light moved faster in the past, and there was none of that talk. And then in the last
Mm,
movie, the is Genesis history, the big in detail, highly evolved explanation they gave was God brought the light. That was it. He just
yes.
brought it. This time they tried to tie. Well, not they tried. They tied uh, the light getting here in a ridiculously quick period of time to the whole redshift thing, and and
Yeah,
and
I
yeah, everything's
that they
moving
lost me in
apart.
that.
Yeah, well, see, everything's moving apart. Therefore, even though in their book it's God stretched ed past tense out the heavens, they are implying that they don't see any problem with the fact that if that's the case, this alleged stretching is still going on. So, okay,
Yeah, at
is
one
that a
point
flaw in the
they
book?
had something about. I remember that they were talking about space stretching means that time is stretching means something. I thought they were going to go the route of, well, time is stretching, which just makes the universe look old. But they
No,
never made that point. So
no, they didn't go that way.
I just yeah.
But
Mm.
the oh no with this with the it wasn't just space but time as well. They also at the end that was where they came in with the and the light was stretched out. That's
Did they? If
that's
they
it.
did, they
Yes.
just I don't think they actually made that point. I think they almost did, and then just assumed we'd fill in the gaps.
That maybe well it was if that was the case. I mean, it was over a week ago we saw the thing. They made it plain enough that that's the idea you left with when they cut to the next
Yeah,
scene.
I think that's the point.
Indeed, and of course they did
Oh
the
God, I think the most shotgun that they ever got was during the part when they were talking about the planets.
Ah,
because
yes.
they just said Mercury, like its magnetic field is just wrong. Its density is something. It's in general the whole thing is just too young. Venus also the same. It's the whole except its surface features are something. Saturn's rings they're doing a thing. Pluto its atmosphere is going all wacky, and then and they said that in the span of about 10 seconds.
Yes.
And
Yes.
it's like I am just
Don't forget comets. Don't forget comets. They pulled in the comet, the old comet thing.
they
How
did
could we
pull.
have
Yeah,
comets
I
wear
said
out?
here in my notes I have spiral galaxies comics sun composition. Oh my!
Hmm. And
Let's see what else I got here.
what about spiral arms? They
Man,
pulled
I
out the
got
old spiral arm silliness on the galaxies.
part of me just wants to kind of read some of my notes to you.
Okay.
Let's see. Very. I don't know how early you got there, but I got there right at the beginning. So I have a couple of just before the movie stuff and then during the movie stuff. Mainly before it was just like a lot of links to indoctrinate whatever. Uh, let's see what else. Let's see what they got here. How early did you get there?
I got there just as the opening credits were coming. I know usually in these kind of films, they replace the coming attractions you'd normally see with coming attractions that are actually all biblically based stuff. But
There were actually not a lot of those this time.
really, okay.
Mainly, it was mainly just a little bit of like mainly behind the scenes stuff for their movie.
Ah, didn't catch that. I did stay for the end. Most of the theater took off before they missed the we'll call it the biblical after
Panel of
show.
experts.
Yes, the panel of experts. I was thinking the whole time, what is wrong with you people? None of you are like 10 years old. How could you not know that if the house lights don't come up, something else is coming? And anybody that's ever gone to a Disney film knows this. House lights are down,
Yeah, there's always
doesn't
end credit
matter.
sequences.
Doesn't matter. If the credits are rolling, doesn't matter. House
Yeah,
lights down,
exactly.
something's coming that's going to be either interesting or painful. In this case, it
Yeah.
was painful.
Well, yeah. Let's see. One of the few quotes I have is from Ray, because at one point Eric was just kind of filming him just right before the interview thing for the movie, and Ray was drinking something, and Eric said, "And now we're on the set for Genesis Paradise Lost," and Ray is drinking this thing, and he says, "It's hot chocolate," and that is all he says. And so I wrote that down because I felt that was very important.
Uh, well, we can't really question the accuracy of that.
I mean,
So, all right.
our job is to debunk their claims. I am out to debunk the claim that Ray was drinking hot chocolate. And I could go for some hot chocolate right about now.
Yeah, that's another thing.
Anyway,
I'm out of coffee things for the Keurig. That's a problem. I have to get some of those.
that is a problem.
Uh,
Anyway, so at the very beginning of the film, I just going through my notes here, I just said Genesis stuff. That's all it deserves. It's nothing more, nothing less. Uh, oh, right. They started off immediately with the anonymous, faceless, nameless they who hijack science, who are in fact atheists. Uh, you got the argument from design, then Romans 1, and then I said the movie looks damn pretty, and then uh, underlined with several exclamation points, I wrote round Earth. Uh,
Important point. Even the
Very
creationists laugh
important.
at the flat earthers.
Yeah, I said just mainly as a note for myself and for Paul. I said when they were saying the who was in the movie, I said 9 doctors and 4 featured speakers.
Hmm.
So that was just and then when they showed the title card, I wrote part 1 question mark exclamation point upset face. Uh,
Did you stay for the very end
I
though for the panel? It sounds like you did.
Oh, I did. I stayed for everything. I was there the whole time, and my friends actually they left before the panel because they needed to go recover.
Understand? See, I
They're
was
not
going to
they're not quite
mention
as
that
they're not quite as experienced with this sort of thing as you and I.
yeah, I was going to say that of course he stayed because it takes after just the main body of the movie, it would take a while for the brain to be able to regenerate enough to generate enough power to send signals to the muscles to get you out of the chair. I would think it
Yeah.
was. It
Let's see.
was.
Next, I wrote Genesis 1:1 is profound! Exclamation point. Then I wrote roll credits. Uh, a lot of my notes are basically from their perspective of the people making the claims. So I basically just wrote down whatever the claim was.
Hmm.
So, for example, here I think it was Ken Ham. He said it's an ontological issue. It's about worldviews and authority. Uh, Atheistic evolution leads to moral relativism and no ethics, and also it means you're worthless. It does not answer the question of who am bleh, my you're a science project.
Yeah.
Purpose and meaning equals 0, and after death also equals 0.
Yeah, that's classic Hamism there.
Mm-hmm.
And he's actually nobody bothers. None of his followers bothered to analyze exactly what he said. But if you do analyze exactly what he said, is that the theory of evolution cannot be true. Big Bang cosmology, none of that can be true because it makes us feel unhappy. That's what he's
Yeah.
saying. That's what he's saying.
Well, that's how they started out. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Later they attempted to go on to their reasoning. Sorry, a second. Don't worry. It's you take a drink. Don't worry. It's hot chocolate.
indeed. Anyway, yeah, and they
Uh,
trotted out. They trotted out everything. The again with the faux statistics,
hmm.
odds for the first cell, and I have to admit they're correct. The odds of a bunch of disparate chemicals suddenly meeting in one place and poof, cell. Absolutely, their statistics were probably uh,
Yep.
an understatement. It was probably less probable than what they said. It's a damn
Yeah.
good thing that's
Honestly,
not
during
what
that part,
happened.
they started saying numbers and stuff, and I just kind of zoned out for a moment at that one point because, of course, math doesn't match reality. But I just wrote probability, numbers, odds,
Yeah, that's
because again, it is nothing more, nothing less than that.
yeah. Well, at least they didn't show the little graphic of a bunch of slot machines again.
Yeah, at least they didn't. Actually, a lot of this actually has. I mean, of course, most of this has been like debunked for a very long time.
Hmm.
But let's see
Quite
what else.
true.
There were a couple things here that I remember that specifically that I remembered being debunked by logic
Mm.
like a while ago. In particular, also a little bit by KC back in the day. Like like God, like now rare. God damn. In a dictionary, when it says now rare, do you know what that means?
I I do not know what that reference is that you jotted down there.
Yep.
I,
Basically, they pointed to a dictionary when they were talking about dinosaurs and men living together. They
mm,
pointed to a modern dictionary and pointed out the fact that in some particular definition of dinosaur, it says in the dictionary it says quote now rare, and they take that to mean that dinosaurs themselves are in fact a thing that is now rare,
yeah,
as opposed
that's
to
still there.
of course the usage of the word being rare.
Yeah, okay. And see, I missed that part of the movie. There was
And
just so
that
much.
was one of their arguments.
So a dictionary, they were misinterpreting the statement to imply that the actual animal is now rare,
That
not
they
that
did
the.
exactly that.
I see. I'm glad we're having this talk. I missed that part. I was.
Yeah, exactly. That's kind of why I wanted to do this a little bit, to compare some notes in places that I think I may have missed some stuff.
Hmm,
And then again, you have your notes, and I have my notes.
yes. So
I gotta say,
let's see.
something they really did was they did a pretty good job of, like, good is, I guess, is relative in this case, but then again, more relativism because of evolution. But they did a pretty good job of pretty heftily um, sprinkling in their, they in the Bible said there would be scoffers thing, and they sprinkled it in quite a little bit actually,
Yeah.
just in just right completely random places. It seems
Yeah. Well, it's
like,
all.
oh well, we haven't really. I guess we're switching switching topic. May as well mention those scoffers.
Yeah, and remember who the movies are intended for. Both this and the last abomination is Genesis history. Um,
Hmm.
they're not made to convert anyone. They're not made to convince anyone. They're made for people who are already convinced and really
Yeah.
just want to go home feeling warm and fuzzy. So they have to sprinkle in things that people are familiar with, that they've heard before, and that above all are frighteningly simple concepts.
Hmm.
The odds thing. Some of the things, though, even as a fervent believer, hearing them say it in a movie, there had
Oh,
to
it
be some
reaffirms it.
thinking about. Well, yeah, but there had to be some that actually caused doubt, like um, the part about let there be light, and that okay, God made the light before the sun and the stars, and then He only made the sun after
Oh my God.
as a
Wait, I have
tool.
that in here too
Yeah,
somewhere.
the sun was His
Let's see.
tool to bring the light, and that's why you
I
shouldn't
got.
worship the sun. Where did that come from? How many sun worshippers does He think came to His show?
Yeah. I feel like again that's just kind of just generally trying to pat the audience in the back and saying, "Oh, by the way, don't worship the sun,"
Yeah.
rather than trying to target sun worshippers who might happen to see his film
So they really suspect that some of their flock would just go out, like, oh, I don't know, vacation to Florida, whatever, look up at the sun
and just
and
start
go,
worshiping the sun.
just like, yes.
I guess well, to be fair, they don't have much else out there. Uh,
All right, what else we got? They mentioned the
oh
law
god,
of biogenesis again,
oh god.
which is technically, I mean, it works. Law of biogenesis, yes, it's true. Starting immediately
Hang on.
after
I need to.
abiogenesis occurred.
I need to fucking add an index for all these notes because I have no idea where the fucking thing is anymore.
Yeah, well, it's
Oh, is this? Are you the law of biogenesis? No, you're not the law of biogenesis. But the real law of biogenesis, please stand up. God, fucking. Oh, there it is. Okay. Uh. Oh yeah, here it is. So yeah, evolution violates the spontaneous generation of life because, of course, creationism doesn't violate that. Um. Yeah, law of biogenesis contradicts evolution. Yeah, that's all I wrote here.
yeah, that's
Because, of course, evolution requires the spontaneous generation of life.
yeah, and that was yeah, and they in the movie, I believe they confused the terms um, spontaneous generation with abiogenesis. Like they used spontaneous generation instead, if I
Well,
recall
yeah, but they've been
correctly.
doing that for a long time now.
Yeah, yeah, that is true.
Yeah, like life coming from non-life is the exact same as just life appearing. They're basically just saying, well, they're both life appearing from where there wasn't alive before, so they're the same thing.
And is completely different from his poof humans. Yeah. I I admit the poof humans theory does have merit. Uh, and Ham got to say his favorite thing, molecules to man. There is no theory of molecules to man evolution. There may be at some point in the future once we get a handle on abiogenesis, but right now there is not. But he got to say his cute thing, so he was happy. Let's see.
Where did I put that thing? Yeah, give me a second. Fuck, 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 fuck. There it is. Uh, billions of dead things.
Okay.
Yeah, all I have here is they're talking about stuff, and all I write here is quote billions of dead things unquote times three because three of them said it in a row. They cut it together in such a way.
Yeah,
Ugh.
that's. I believe that was where they were trying to insist that the evidence in the geologic column proves big flood,
The
and
geologic column, which does not exist, by the way.
yeah, they yes, but when it does exist, it proves a flood because
Mm-hmm.
I think they're greatly underestimating the time span of various collections of fossils in the geologic column. Because yes, if it was all like if all the layers, this geologic column has layers, like ogres have layers, that kind of thing.
Shut the
But
hell up.
But
Okay, I'm sorry. I must say I will never forgive you for that.
but it's like they're assuming that the entire geologic column. No, they say it. The entire geologic column was created in like a week and a half from the flood, and that's look, lots of dead things. If there was a great flood, there'd be lots of dead things. There you go, proof positive. Dragons are dinos.
Oh God.
and 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 of course they broke out the behemoth thing again.
Oh yes, I have that here too.
Yes, behemoth.
Let's
You
see.
and I don't generally pronounce it in that way. Behemoth. Usually we pronounce it hippo. Yeah, that's how we pronounce it.
Yeah, some people pronounce it that way.
Indeed.
I think I know in Texas they actually pronounce it a little differently. I've heard R and Raw pronounce it as crocodile.
See, I'm going with the hippo because of the tail, because it says it's the tail like the willow and the
cedar tree.
Cedar. That's it.
Yeah, that's where I spelled tree with an A. Cedar tra.
The old English spelling. Got it. But yeah, they're thinking the size of a tree the tail's got to be, when what it actually says in the book kind of is like a branch wagging in the wind there. Let's see.
I have it here. Behemoth, which is a sauropod, and I wrote down like a cedar tree, and part after that was nice is that the claim that dinosaurs are old is just an assertion.
Yes. Yeah, I got that one. Order of House.
Immediately afterwards, they followed with scoffers, and then the equals has index fossils, and the fossils date the layers, which date the fossils, which date the etc.
Indeed.
Yeah, because of course, dating doesn't exist.
Certainly not. And speaking of dating, did you notice how many times they kept repeating the word carbon dating, because they wanted everyone to leave the theater with that in the mind, so that they.
I thought you were going to talk about. I thought you were going to start talking about Paul.
So that they could. What they wanted was people to leave the theater and see. Because I've always said, if you want to sneak a lie by, the best thing to do is issue a string of truths first, and then wedge it in at the end. If everyone accepts everything you say up to the lie, odds are they're going to be in an accepting mood and take it anyway. So that's, I believe, why they kept doing the carbon thing over and over and over again, because they want some of these people to go and check and go, "Ooh, carbon dating has limits. How could that be?" And there you go, proof positive.
Yeah, I have some that here actually. I said apparently they are using carbon dating to prove that things are millions of years old, which of course they are not.
Right.
And then they quite rightly point out that it can't be used within I think it's a 100,000 year time span.
And the funny thing is,
and therefore shouldn't be in anything older. But it is, so therefore they're not.
Indeed, and let's not forget that somebody should tell them that the very sneaky they that they're referring to is aware of this fact, and does not make use of purely carbon dating. It's in the mix. It's one of the things that's used. It's one of the tools. Just like Jesus, you got a tool bag. You don't pull out the screwdriver and try and pound in a nail. Anyway.
Actually, I was surprised they did at the very least mention the other forms of dating, although they didn't even try to attack them, except for saying that they were all under certain assumptions, which were what do I have here? I can almost read that. Estimate amounts of parent / these are the assumptions of radiometric dating. Estimate the estimate amount of parent and daughter isotopes. They have to assume the rate of decay, which they snuck in a nice "were you there?"
Yeah, that could have changed in the past. That's absolutely.
Let's see. Yeah, that's a favorite. That's a favorite one of mine from I still remember Casey did the back in the day when he showed that if it was that in order to just if the rate of decay was different to make it look like the universe was only 6,000 years old and the Earth, that basically it'd be equivalent of a couple nuclear bombs going off every second forever up until now, and that's just beautiful. Welcome to a world based on creationist physics.
Indeed. Don't forget.
DEAT is not a word.
No, it's not. What's that? Were you starting to write death and blacked out from the amount of stupid you were hearing?
No, I tried to write heat, except I started it with a D instead of an H for some reason.
Aha. Okay, these things happen.
Apparently that heat, plasma, and pressure can change decay rates.
Aha.
Which is something they said, and so all I had to say was citation.
Indeed.
So citation needed. They have to assume a closed system. And then after that, I just wrote in big capital letters, "Don't trust them."
Somehow
I was showing my friends my notebook here after the a couple days after the fact, and one of them just said, these look like the scribblings of a madman. Because I just have a bunch of random stuff like Bible passes scientific method. Let's see. That's not all there is. Don't trust them. Kind in big capital letters.
Of course.
It makes you look like a complete madman.
Yeah, really. That actually, it might be a good idea. First, look through your notebook. Make sure you have not written your name anywhere in it, because if someone finds it, it'll show up in the newspaper as Hill's Manifesto. Hill's Manifesto. We got to get this guy behind bars.
Yeah. Oh, I did. At one point they started talking about the soft tissue and dinosaur bones thing with Mary Schweitzer.
Oh yeah, loved that. And cells. There were cells. They said in the movie. They said there were cells.
Yeah, they went through it so fast. I didn't even have time to write down at all. I was hoping you got it. I couldn't even have. I tried to write the name Schweitzer and then realized I neither had the time nor skill nor lighting to do that. So I just wrote Schweitzer. And then I'd have beneath that I only have one of the few quotes they said in that, which was said this was the first publicized example of this discovery. It's like, nice conspiracy sneak in you got there.
Well, of course, because you mentioned earlier they are up to no good. There's the shadowy they, the evolutionists, secularist religion people. They're up to something. Let's see.
They always are.
Ooh, sea creatures at high altitudes. Actually, RJ was like, first off, hasn't always been a high altitude. It used to be a low altitude. Oh, and by the way, it used to be wet. But they had to pull that one out. Sea creatures on the mountains.
That's so funny because they actually now that I think of it, they later in the movie or early in the movie, because who the fuck knows when, because they just basically just took all the creationist arguments, put them in a blender, and then put them in, and then I guess made them into a CGI T-Rex eating a watermelon or whatever.
Oh yeah, did you see
how? So because there's no real way to know when in this movie, because there's no transitionals. There's no transitions between they kind of like chunks of topics where they kind of talk about the same thing for a while, but there's no real order for when they do that. They just talk about one thing for a while and then another thing for a while, and that's why it's so difficult for me to look through my notes and know where the hell anything is, because they basically just rambled. So at one point they were talking about there's sea creatures at these high altitudes, and then later in the movie they talk about how the Bible is confirmed because it knew about plate tectonics. It's like, yeah, plate tectonics. So in one hand they're denying plate tectonics about how mountains form, and on the other hand they're saying, fuck, they're saying yes, the Bible is confirmed because it talks about it. you can interpret it so it talks about plate tectonics. On the other hand, they're saying, well, I mean, man, mountains, how do they form?
Yeah, and the other funny part about that is it's interesting how many predictions the Bible makes after a phenomenon is in
Yeah,
fact discovered by
they actually
scientists.
they talked about that a lot. Actually, it was the Bible being confirmed by science uh, thousands of years later, which of course the Bible of course though had no part in those actual discoveries.
No, nobody read the
But
Bible and said, you know what? I'll bet these land masses used to be somewhere else. No, they did not. Not at
no one
all.
did that. There was no person who did that.
Certainly not. I'm glad you reminded me of the T Rex though, because I actually smiled at that part of the movie when the T Rex with his long conical ripping teeth stalked the dangerous tree growing melon. How many watermelons have you seen growing 30 feet off the ground in a tree? First off,
What a convenient height for dinosaurs.
indeed. Well, see, that's these supreme
So
being
see, they
made
had to
the
make up for the
food.
fact because if he was on the ground, he's got such short arms. You see,
Give me that. You'd have to talk to the Triceratops. Give me that. I can't reach it.
needs one of them to skewer it for him.
Indeed. And after you give me that, get my keys out of my pocket.
Yeah, yeah. Here I just have in my notes. I just wrote watermelon T Rex with a
Yeah,
little
that was
smiley
it.
face.
It was very close to that part in that segment that they showed the fully formed go to ShopRite and buy them bananas, which that was the best because I mean you can't have Ray Comfort, Banana Man, in a show, and then in that same show fully formed bananas at the dawn of creation. That's
Yeah, the problem is that was during one of the just they were just reciting the Bible bits. So like I said, I just kind of tuned out for those because there was nothing of value really to basically it was just those were the parts to look at, and it was terrible because the parts where they were narrating the Bible, those were the only parts when the screen was bright, so I could take
uh
nice notes. So you can actually tell by looking in my notes in the unorganized ones when the screen got brighter based on how ordered the notes are.
and
It's
the
like in
hand
parts where like during interviews, it like 5 notes take up an entire page, whereas later when it gets brighter, you can actually like it just takes up individual lines again. So you can tell based on my terrible notes, you can tell when the screen actually got brighter.
yeah, and
And
the improvement in handwriting was probably a clue as well.
yeah, that helps. Let's see. Also, at one point here, I just wrote, "Oh yeah, have you seen the Fifth Element?"
The Fifth Element, yes.
Yeah. Do you remember when God was creating humans? Didn't that remind to me that reminded me of the sequence when Lilu was being reconstructed from that.
Yes, when see what I took out of that segment. I know exactly the segment you're talking about, where the tornado spit out a human. Yeah,
Yeah,
that,
that's
that
another note I have. As I wrote here, God creates in tornadoes, lightning, and nukes apparently,
yeah.
because
So
whenever he wants to create something, there's a tornado, a very specific tornado that doesn't really do any damage. It's just kind of there, and then also apparently God just kind of nukes it from orbit because there's a giant flash of light which you can see from space.
and let us not forget with the tornadoes, um, they work great for creating humans apparently. And by the way, there's nothing about that in the Bible, but tornadoes work great for making humans, but they can't make a car going through a junkyard. Much too complicated. So I'm not quite sure. I'm not quite
Okay,
sure. Maybe it
okay,
was only designed
okay,
for the more
okay.
complicated work.
I will. That was so good. I will forgive you for the terrible. They have it's in layers like an ogre thing. I will forgive you for
All
that.
right, I feel
That was
better.
okay. That was clever. I like that. Um. Okay. This is yeah. This is these are towards the end where they started getting all preachy. I just right here preaching to the nth degree, like all that stuff. So like I said, here the notes really thin out a little bit.
Hmm.
Oh, here I have. Let's see. Oh, when Adam and Eve were remember that one part where they were behind the waterfall. They were just kind of Adam and Eve were just kind of going around, just chilling, I guess.
Okay.
I just wrote they were at one point they were behind a waterfall. It looked like they were, I don't know, like getting extremely close to each other.
Mm.
So I just wrote here Adam/Eve sexy times. And
That's
I just whispered to my friend next to me during that part of the movie. I said, I feel like we should give them some privacy because like the camera was like getting close.
so you were thinking, did someone forget to shut off the camera? This is
Yeah, it's like yeah, like I don't feel like we should be watching this. Like if they were just created, this probably counts as child pornography.
little privacy, please. They're like, yeah, really, they're like 5 minutes of age.
Yeah,
But
that's a good point.
yeah. Let's see. Oh,
Oh
they
yeah,
kind of
so I
harped
have
on
a.
the. They kind of harped with the genetics. They kind of harped on the no new information
Oh yeah,
nonsense.
I noticed that too. At one point, I just wrote Georgia and all, and just whenever there was a particular speaker that I recognized, I just wrote their name with an exclamation point, like
Mm-hmm.
Ken, Georgia, Ray, Bodie. When at one point I realized, oh dear, this is the part when they start talking about evolution. I just wrote in here, so just somewhere in my notes I just wrote, oh no.
Oh,
And
and
then also this is a good one. About an hour into the movie, one of my friends just whispered to me, I don't think I can make it through all of this.
see, when my friend whispered to me, what immediately flashed in my head before you said what you said there was, Bill, we got to get out of here. That's essentially what they said. That's it. That
Yeah.
is what they said. I was thinking, what would be funny if they said, and that's pretty much what they said. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
And
yeah. But like I said, I was really surprised by the amount of just old material they took that they just kind of haven't up. I was amazed by the amount of stuff they just hadn't updated. Like
yeah,
like some of the stuff I just like I said just like debunked by like logic, especially back in the
mm,
day. Like they talked about the Miller experiment in particular for a little bit. Uh, yeah, they said that the Miller experiment created tar and amino acids, which Georgia said, by the way, is which he said, oh, that amino acids it created amino acids. That's and this is a direct quote, meaningless, and that it was lethal. The test was lethal. So I guess I guess Miller and Urey both died upon doing the experiment.
well, you note they only did
Uh,
the experiment once. Why do you think that was? But
uh,
yeah,
and then,
so
then they said, "Oh yes, these scientists are coming up with all these crazy ideas like crystal lattices in the ocean with amino acids." And I was like, "Oh, what the hell did they just say?" Um, and then at one point, this was interesting. Actually, they said, um, "Well, even if it did create, even if you have like eventually, as you have all these, these godless miracles, and then you get a single cell," they said that's not life. And so it's very, and so I said, that's interesting actually. So even if so they technically, I may I may have gotten that wrong in my notes, but I seem to remember it too. It's like they said, even if there is one cell, that is not life.
so the argument you're saying was, even if there's life, it's not life.
Yeah,
Okay.
I don't know what the overall for some of these. I just don't know what their argument is. It just seems like they're just, hey, remember that old thing we said that was like an argument? Well, let's kind of just take it and then break it apart and then shotgun it at the audience in all the individual pieces
Look
and
at the
hope they
positive.
think it's something.
From that section
Like
you're talking about, just be happy they didn't let Ken Ham pop in and say, and of course, when this cell came into existence, there had to be a Mrs. Cell created at exactly the same instant. Otherwise,
why couldn't they just evolve to why couldn't they just evolve to live forever and be happy?
yes,
It said that evolution is life, which means the creation of new organisms.
hmm,
Uh, and then there's the other disciplines is where the proof is, which actually, funnily enough, we actually cover. I remember because we covered that in the movie night before we went to see the movie. I remember Ken Ham said that he
yeah,
had some kind of a weird bastardization on that. So I was like, oh, I remember that from movie night. So I thought of you in that moment.
yes. Ham is always good for if you're like really tired and not feeling particularly intelligent. Ken Ham is a good one to Ken Ham's a good one to debunk because it's all such like not even grade school, like preschool level arguments. And which was the guy? I don't have in my notes who said it, but don't give me theories, give me facts. As it that
Oh, I think
that in
yeah, it
itself
was
gave.
something. I have that. I think I have that somewhere in here. It would take me it take me a very long time to find it, but it was
Mm,
something along the lines of, yeah, I remember that too. It was something like they're not theories. Yeah, theories are not important. It's all about facts.
yeah, and
And
that
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 was
was
the that
I
was one
have
of that was their paleontologist guy who was
that,
sitting in front of the dinosaur bones
and
in
that
the
is evidence that they are fully aware that they are not preaching to a scientifically literate audience, because if they had been, the scientifically literate audience is well aware that facts and other data points come before theories. They are technically inferior to facts. Explain nothing. They are just data points. But
yeah.
don't give me theories. Don't give me an explanation. Just give me a bunch of little data points. That's to you and I. That's what that said. To the audience, it was, oh, a theory is just, I've got a theory where I left my keys. That's
Yeah.
that's
I a couple times noted the language that they were trying to use, which was whatever it was. Oh, don't fall over.
let's see.
Okay, I didn't fall.
Okay.
We're there for a second. Okay, let's see what else we got here. Uh, oh yeah, the people that those evil people are just trying to the people who the people who say the other disciplines is where the proof is. They are Bible deniers and they're just trying to take God out of the picture.
Absolutely. Well, that's confirmed. I mean, in the in Darwin's book, in the at the bottom of the dedication, there's "Let's get God the fuck out of here." Isn't that isn't that in there?
I actually something I don't remember is when they were talking about Darwin's book and they brought up the subtitle. Of course they always bring up the subtitle of the book, which was the preservation of the favored races in the struggle for life.
Yes, hence Nazis. Yeah, that
I
they
can't
pulled
remember.
that.
Did they make the argument that it was a book about racism?
They implied.
I cannot remember that.
Yes, they
They
did.
implied.
They
Okay, I
implied.
was yeah.
But
They did a lot of that in this movie. Actually, I feel like they did a lot of the not making the argument, but just implying.
see that in some cases, psychologically speaking, that's even better than making an assertion, because you're giving people like a teaser so
Yeah, I
they
feel
can,
like they did it.
yeah, so they can go into their minds and it will confirm something they already think. And that's not someone telling you something, that's making you think of something that you already know is true. So, yeah,
Yeah,
good trick.
you telling you something is 1,000 times better than someone else telling you something.
Agreed. And, yeah.
Let's see what else. What else? Oh yeah, Ken. He said. At one point I just wrote. It was they were doing the more Bible narration stuff, and they said, talking about God creating the uh, birds and the birds and the water. Goddamn, I can't think of words. Just water dwelling creatures.
Uh huh.
And at one point in that sequence, I did remember they had a whale. They said they they said God created all the creatures of the air and of this and of the sea, and at one point, at one point they were saying, the part I'm remembering something else is they said, yes, God created all of these fishes and such, and on screen they had a whale. It's like, God damn it, Eric.
I'm surprised the whale didn't have like a swollen stomach from swallowing
Yeah,
Jonah.
I mean, they probably did it on purpose because of the Jonah stuff, but still, I gotta say, God damn it,
Indeed.
God damn it, Eric, that's a whale. But yeah, and also because of the thing originally I was going to say was you're talking about creating the birds and stuff, and they said let fowl multiply, and I said that equals this movie. Fowl, of course, being spelled with a U and not a W.
Okay. I got the joke, Chief. Let's
Also,
see.
let's see what else. I got kind sprinkled around a little bit here.
Oh yeah, I wrote
Uh,
that too in every couple of pages because Kenny never missed a chance to throw that word about repeatedly.
no. Well, I mean, it's a creationist documentary. What else are they going to do?
How about give me a
It's one of their
missing
safe
link?
words.
How about yes? How about give me a missing link? There's no give me a missing link. There is none. Lucy is not
Oh, I
the
loved that part.
Lucy is not
Oh
the
yes,
missing link.
oh, I loved the. At one point, they said, yes, these have all been reclassified," and then they take the time to try to reclassify several different species as either 100% human or 100% ape. It's like, okay, you're doing the thing you said other people are doing.
Yeah, really. And actually, it's not an argument at all because you know what? Classify them all as 100% ape, and I think you know why. So are we.
Yeah.
So,
Well, at one point, I just wrote here in big letters, superimpose.
oh yes, yeah, that was when I bet you wrote that when they were doing the skulls.
Yes, indeed.
Yes, indeed. They were when they for anyone who hasn't seen the movie, we'll just say they'd have two skulls, one of a human, one of something else, either Lucy or a chimp or Neanderthal,
Something.
and then
I think they had a crocoduck skull on there somewhere.
they resize it so that it was the same size as human skull, and then superimpose the two and do a cutaway so you could compare and contrast the two.
No, and
And all they
and
did
by the
was
way,
contrast.
we have an audience.
How can we have? How can we have an
Oh,
audience?
anyway. Oh boy. But anyway, yeah, they literally just took the two skulls and literally just in CG, they just took the two skulls, a human and something else, and literally just used they're both CGI, so I mean automatically invalid. So and
Yes,
they literally
indeed.
just pushed them together so that they overlap and they I forget the exact term in the computer term for when you smush those two things together like that. They clipped together,
Hmm.
and so you could see the slight differences between them. It said because we can superimpose them and look at the ways they're different, therefore they're either 100% human or 100% ape based on the subjective way we determine how different they are when we superimpose them.
Yeah, and it's funny how with their whole compare and contrast, which is always a good thing to do with two items, they only focused on the contrast. They didn't mention the frightening similarities that indicated that,
No.
you know, if these are not the same, which we'll admit they're not, they're pretty damn close. and the
Yeah, here I just have a missing link equal evolutionary propaganda.
yes, yes, and missing link. I hate that term because they always leave it in the singular, and that never works because it's give me a link here. Poof, one. There you go. There's a link. All right, now give me one on each side. So now you need three. Yes. All right, here's three. All right, now I need two more to go in between those. Five, you
That's
want?
the problem. Yeah, the missing link means missing. So as soon as you find the link, it can't. As soon as you find a link, it can't be a missing link anymore.
Indeed,
It's an unobtainable noun.
and the and
You can't have a missing link if you have it, it's not a missing link anymore. So it's a found link.
it's just a link. That kind of takes the fun out of it.
It's just a
But
link. So like
but yeah.
they are technically, although they are technically right then in when they say there are no missing links.
Well, the ones that are predicted but have not yet been discovered would fit their description of missing link. And for the
Yes.
predicted ones, there are always going to be missing links, spoken in italics, because they will not be satisfied until you have every creature between the common ancestor, between us and the apes, uh, every generation you have to have because otherwise one of them's missing. See, you don't have all the missing
Hmm.
links.
Yeah.
Falsified. Anyway, let's see.
Are you looking through your notes too?
Oh yeah, I'm flipping pages. This is more.
Oh,
Yeah.
something else that that same guy with who was sitting in front of the fossils. I love this part. He said, um, apes, and he was talking about Neanderthal man, and
Yep.
I spelled man with two M's. Um, let's see. He said apes quote probably had emotions.
Mm.
He was talking about like how they had cultures and clothing and probably had emotions. It's like okay. Oh, and at one point, and then right after that, I wrote curvature of the Earth underlined, which I just felt compelled to do every time they showed a wide shot of the Earth.
Oh, and in
Oh,
that
and this
same
was something I
segment,
actually
don't
thought was
forget,
very
Neanderthals had bigger
yeah
brains, therefore they were smarter. So
yeah
brain size is the an obvious indicator of the level of intelligence. Has nothing to do with the complexity of the brain. Brain size is where it is. We can't say judged on brain size. It doesn't work like that.
Yeah. There is some correlation, but it's not a direct correlation.
Oh yes, yes.
Like if your brain is bigger and if you have two brains that are of the same complexity and one is bigger, it can do more things. It has more processing power and probably has more whatever the fucking hell, I can't think right now. It has more smaller individual parts to do more specific functions.
Yeah, from transistor logic, I
Aside
would
from just
say
like basic stuff like
more junctions.
okay, breathe
It's
and
it's
keep
got more.
breathing.
It's got more junctions, therefore more switchable states. That's how I would attribute that.
Yeah,
But two
yeah,
brains
sure.
of the same
You,
size,
well,
just
of course you don't, yeah, nerd. Um, something actually very telling actually right after that part when they brought in that particular guy who was talking about the differences in that particular doctor they only had just for talking about Lucy.
mm-hmm.
Dr. David Nenton.
Mm-hmm.
At one point he asked the question. And I thought this was very telling of the creationist mindset in general, which was, is it ape or human? Was his question.
Is it canine or dog?
I don't know if you have that.
Is it canine
Yeah.
or dog? Is it oxygen or a
Yeah.
gas? That's great.
Yeah, but I think it's very telling of the creation mindset of, is it this or this? And of course, one of those things is a subset of the other thing, but really, I think the main telling part is they're immediately, they look at it and they immediately say, okay, which is it? Is it something that is human or something else?
Yes, and if you demand and accept a dichotomy, then that argument actually does hold merit, because you can't say
Yes.
this is closer to. You have to pick. It's binary. Is it a 1 or a 0?
Yeah.
So no, you.
Only a Sith deals in absolutes.
Let's see.
I got that. Okay. You get the part after that? He said some evolutionists have suggested that also these Neanderthals, they took females on their hunting trips, and some evolutionists, some of the they, have suggested that, quote, that is why they went extinct. And I'm pretty sure there was not one person in the audience who did not groan at that for varying reasons.
How could I have missed that?
That was something. Yeah, because you were talking about that same guy who was comparing the skulls. He was talking about Neanderthals, and he was, after he asked, "Is it ape or human?" He said, "So they were talking about how these Neanderthals, they had they had cultures, they had clothing, they again probably had emotions." And then he said, they basically they had. He's saying they had society, and they took females on hunting trips. And he said that some evolutionists say that quote, that is why they went extinct.
I like I
And
said, I can't believe I missed that.
everybody in the audience groaned at that.
I'm groaning now.
Most of all the creationists groaned because of the sexism, and the non-creationists groaned at the sexism and the probably quote mine.
That I have not met an evolutionist, whatever that is, who has made that assertion. That's
Yeah, partially I just took note of that because for some of these things, like even for again, I have Mary. They apparently quoted Mary Schweitzer at one point, and she said that I tried to take note of some of the quotes they had, so to check them later. And they were talking about Mary Schweitzer and the stuff she found. Honestly, I did not, like I said, I did not have time to write down all the stuff they said about what she found. I just assumed it was wrong because they're creationists. So I was hoping that you got that part. I know they were talking about like she found blood cells, tubes of something,
yeah, that's
all that good stuff.
yeah. They were not speaking in
Soft tissue.
generalities when they got to that. When they got to the old soft tissue part, they said cells, found
Oh, did
cells.
they?
Well, yeah, found cells,
I guess
and
that
was it
was one thing
either
I'd missed.
blood vessels or capillaries? But they pretty much outright just said, "This is what you found," and that wasn't a quote mine or a a statement of fact. That was just an outright lie. There,
Yeah,
there
but right before that, they had something where Mary Schweitzer, they apparently quoted her saying that what she found, quote, flies in the face, unquote, of whatever, of everything she had, quote, been, this was their wording, been conditioned to believe. So
uh,
I especially know Paul would be interested in checking that one.
I suspect he's probably doing so right now.
We can only hope.
I look forward
Let's
to
see what
see
else.
his views.
I, After that, I just wrote, "That's not all it is," but I have no idea what that's referring to.
Aha.
I assume it's something to do with the Mary Schweitzer or the condition to believe part, but
Hmm.
I don't know. And then they said it's not evolution, it's natural selection.
Oh, right. And that's actually I do have that in here. That
Oh,
and they made the point that evolution is not natural selection is not evolution. To
yeah.
which I kid you not, what I wrote that down with quotes around it, and under it I wrote no shit. That's because it isn't. Nobody said if it was, we wouldn't have a theory of evolution. We'd have just natural selection. Let that be the theory.
Yeah,
If,
actually, I was partially expecting. I'm not too surprised because I remember they actually have that as a kind of its own exhibit in the Creation Museum. That's kind of part was one of the sections when they're talking about evolution. They say it's not evolution, it's natural selection.
yeah. And oh, speaking of the museum, and that is it's a little bit off topic. I don't know if you're aware of this. You know that horrid boat-shaped barn in Kentucky.
Yeah, that boat-shaped barn.
Yes. Ken Ham recently tweeted to let us all know that all you have to do is pay for parking now. And so I responded. His actual tweet indicated that all you have to do is pay the $10 for parking and there's no additional charges. And then he went on to mention in the tweet that you should go to their fair trade store. And I wrote back that that's great. I've always wanted to go to a fair trade store when I can get everything at no charge. That's great. I look forward to filling
Well,
filling my shopping cart with little arcs and things.
well, that actually I'd like that as a. I hope they have that as some kind of souvenir, like a tiny arc
Oh yeah,
that's like 1/10,000th of the scale. That'd actually be kind of cool. I'd like to have that actually.
sure you can get
But
an arc. You can get an arc
as
like
as my grandfather always said, is all roads lead to the gift shop.
quite true, and that's he even talks about that as one of the as an attraction. Make sure to see
Well, I
our
mean,
world class
I
gift
mean,
shop.
let's be honest. I mean, the gift shop means you're almost out of there. I mean, the gift shop is they have it at the end, so that is an attraction in of itself.
There you go. That is true. And
It is your before you get to leave. Not have to leave, you get to leave.
it it's your second ticket. Got it. Your return to vehicle ticket.
Yes,
Understand. Well, all right. Yeah, I'm sorry. I digressed
it's
a
your
little bit there.
invitation out of there.
I got off topic.
It's
Talking about
That's fine.
PT Barnum. Oh no, no, that's the wrong name.
Well, let's
Ken
get
Ham.
back on topic with observational science.
Indeed. That's
Yeah, I was very happy they only mentioned that, but they talked about the idea of it a lot, about how at one point somewhere I just wrote evolution equals all history, or naturalistic account of history, I suppose, and that it's not repeatable because,
see
of course,
that.
it's history.
Yeah,
So
and you have
basically, they're
no
saying that
idea.
anything that is in history in the past at all is not repeatable. So it's not science at all. And they're not even making an exception for, in that case, they didn't make an exception for like the Bible about how it's an account from one we know is
No, they did
perfect
not.
and totally trustworthy. And
And
they didn't
that
even make that exception. They just said it's history. It's in the past, so it's not repeatable. It's not testable, so it's not science. They're just
yeah,
discounting
and
everything that has ever happened in the past, scientific at all.
yeah, and I'm honestly that annoyed me during the most of it was wry amusement. That particular part annoyed the hell out of me because
Okay,
honestly, I'm tired of that. I'm tired of that argument because they focus on the repeatable thing, indicating that if the event itself is not repeatable, it's not science. That's not
exactly.
what science says. It's producing evidence that an event occurred is repeatable by different people, that's what we're talking about with repeatable. You don't have to recreate the
Yeah.
Big Bang. You don't have to make a whole universe to say Big
Well,
Bang
that's what they
cosmos
think.
works. That's
They think you have to recreate the event in order
yes,
for something to be signed, instead of recreating the results of the event.
indeed. I think I know you've seen Dark Matter's commentary on that.
Oh yeah.
It's the Ken Ham's house has been burglarized, and there's
Oh
a
yes, that was a good
yeah,
one.
and they find the guy. He's on the other side of the fence, bloodied,
Oh no,
from
no. If you remember correct, actually, I have the memory of a watermelon consuming elephant. He's actually not even on the other side of the fence. He's on their side of the fence, dripping with blood.
oh that's yeah. So well, all right. Guess guess we'll never
Well,
know.
I guess we'll never know.
Mm,
That was a good one, actually.
absolutely.
God, that's the thing, though. That's something. It's very odd in particular. God, I am. Never mind. Um, is that so many of these arguments have been debunked, and not just one, but by like four YouTubers in the past,
Mm-hmm.
in like years ago.
Indeed.
Like, ugh, it's it's like they weren't even. It's like, I mean, you say they updated them. I mean, maybe I.
Well, they updated
It
one.
doesn't really seem like they did. It just seemed like they just took all of the arguments that they've ever used ever and just rehashed them, and then
For
that's it.
most of them,
They didn't.
absolutely. Just in the only one that I'm sure they updated is where how did the light get here from things more than 6,000 light years away.
I mean, I don't think that really counts because they didn't updated it. Update. Oh God, I'm not doing well right now. They didn't update it so much as just. I mean, make it coherent.
Ah,
I mean, they changed it. If they changed it from a non-answer to an answer, I don't know if that counts as an update.
well, no, they changed they sort of changed them. Remember, originally it was just God brought the light. Okay, made the stars, brought the light. Here you go. Here's some light. Poof, done.
Yeah,
And
they
now,
just changed that to Ken Ham's just God stretched out the heavens. So basically, God, instead of God brought the light here, God brought the light here by stretching it.
yeah, so yes, all right, it is pretty much the same. But I guess they wanted to, if someone
They put a little bit more effort into it.
yeah, okay, credit for that. They get, they get
They
credit
they
for
put
that.
in the minimal amount of effort of basically just saying a bit more than it was magic, as in it was magic, and this is the specific manner of magic.
Okay,
Like
they get
God's not just God magically brought the light here, but instead it was God magically brought the light here by magically stretching space.
all right. They get credit for that. Then that works.
They shouldn't. Um. Oh yeah. Let's see. Oh, that was a weird thing they said here. It was they were talking about this weird thing where they're saying they're talking about Lucy and just the inception of humans in general. It's like, oh God, here comes the part when they start talking about evolution. He's talking about how, yes, in basically when we started off in Africa, we were all very stupid, and then we moved further away, and we got to Europe, and we got smarter, and then we moved even further away, and got to America, and got even smarter. It's like no one, like they didn't even bother to present it as like the evolutionist argument. They just started saying things. They didn't even bother to quote or give any, even they didn't even say they think this. They just started saying it. It's like,
So
okay, sure thing, buddy, while backing away slowly.
I hope you're not saying that you think their highly critical audience doubted that statement they made, though.
I mean,
You're not saying that. There was an awful lot of nodding going on. I
I don't
must
think I've
admit,
even heard that. I'm not even sure. I think I may have, but maybe in a different, slightly different variation. But I don't think I've even heard that one before.
was there a lot of amening in your theater where you went to see this?
Not much. There were only a few times, but those were the couple glory be to God. Actually, I didn't have a lot of time to pay attention to that sort of thing, honestly, because like I said, I was either just kind of waiting for the uh, biblical narration parts to end while looking at it, and basically just waiting for that part to end, and then my nose was in my book basically, and
Yeah.
those are the two stages I had. I not really doing much else.
How about the number of kids in your theater? Because the last movie is Genesis History. I was disturbed that maybe 30% of the theater was comprised of children, people bringing their
Mm.
children to
Yeah,
hear
it's about the
how.
same. I think it was about the same where I was too.
Oh, and see, in this theater, I saw two. I would consider kids. The rest of it was all. Let's just say they walked slowly. There. Uh, the rest of the theater, I was somewhat heartened by that.
Yeah, actually, it was. I saw a similar-ish demographic where it was very few. I'm not exactly sure how you're defining children, but yeah, very few like young people, and a lot more slow walkers.
Yeah, I'd still say, yeah,
Yeah,
fresh
I
from
was
the.
actually I was surprised a little bit
Yeah,
by that
yeah.
actually.
Well, that's what
I'm not
I
sure.
was.
I'm not sure if that's a good thing. I guess it's a good thing,
I
but
believe so because
the demographic was slightly different. It was I agree. It was the ratio of young people to I'll say fast walking people to slow walking people. The ratio was a little higher than I was expecting.
yeah, well that's why the movie was at 7:30. That the early bird special is over at that time.
Mm.
That's okay. See, to me that was hilarious. Uh, anyway, no, but the reason it bugged me the first time, I'm sure you're thinking the same, is I know, like, generally 12 and down, your parents are still almost gods, and whatever they approve of must be okay. That's why it
Oh, but
bothered me
come
so
on!
much.
I watch
That's what.
outside. You're getting close to isn't that getting close to the second commandments?
It, but in any case,
Be careful, you dirty heathen.
I I heathen not. Uh,
Okay, I want
anyway,
that on a T-shirt.
I, Ah, okay. I actually no, that wouldn't be it. If we're gonna bother to have T-shirts
SciStrike
printed,
course
it should,
swag and merchandise coming soon to a something near you.
should say heathening 8 p.m. Call for details.
That
Anyway, all right. So you sat through the whole
is
thing,
hilarious.
and definitely you get credit for that. That is an accomplishment.
Mm.
Oh, there was clapping at the end. That was there clapping at the end of
Uh,
yours?
I don't think there was clapping. There was there was some nodding, I think, and that
Yeah,
was basically it.
yeah, oh, there was clapping in this theater, and I was really preparing to say they can't hear you. This is not. It's called a theater. I mean, it's called a theater, but those people you're seeing, it's not really theater. They can't hear you. They,
Oh come on! I've clapped it. Oh, you clapped at movies before.
don't yell author. Do not yell author.
Even I've
But the,
clapped at movies before that I thought were good enough.
well, yeah, but I mean, this was not a Star Trek movie. Come on. Anyway, so um,
Of
yeah.
course not. Aliens don't exist. We're not getting help from elsewhere. Am I right, Carl Sagan?
Indeed. That's right. I forgot. Yeah, that was another good quote in there. But yeah. All right. So if you had to pick, and I know I'm causing you to relive the whole traumatic event, but if you had to pick the most face palming moment of the entire film, what would you pick?
God damn, dude. You can't just spring something on me like that. I need to go through my notes for
All
like
right. Well,
10 minutes.
we'll go back to it. Don't worry about it. Okay. We'll go back to
Yeah.
that in a little bit. You know
Well,
what? We're gonna.
something that wasn't facepalm, but something that made me nearly rage quit the theater was and near the very, at one point, it was right near the very end, they said, to be continued, to which I just wrote, which is something that took up about half a page, to be continued, exclamation point, question mark, underlined, and then basically a big scribble, which I think pretty much speaks for itself. Uh,
Indeed. So either the scribble refers to a large WTF, or you were trying to write "must find a new country to live in." One of those two.
I think what I tried, I think my pencil, I think was actually trying to commit suicide by stabbing myself in the heart. And I was like, and my other hand was like trying to stop me, and that the scribble is the result.
That's actually when I was going in to the movie, I sent a picture of the marquee up there with all the movie names, and
Hmm.
I told you I'm doing it. I'm doing it, and somebody sent back to me, leave your keys somewhere, otherwise they may jump out of your pocket and attempt to pierce your jugular. So, taking that advice, I put them in the coat pocket. Anyway, all right. Uh, let's see. Oh yeah. Could not
Oh,
have. Couldn't have.
oh, they,
Go ahead.
no, you first.
Oh, I just I dropped the notebook and it opened the page of we can't have millions of years because just saying millions of years, you know where that comes from. That's a Hamism. That's from Ham. Millions of years of death before
Oh,
the fall. Okay, so
yeah.
you're
the
without doing it.
attacking the obligatory attacking any old earthers.
Yes, and you're kind of passively reasserting that the fall existed, that there is a fall because
Well, they aren't Christians, Sai.
yeah, and as Ken Ham mentioned ad nauseum, when God was done with everything, it was very good. Not just good. Remember, deep voice narrator,
Oh
very
yeah,
good.
he had a very deep
Yeah,
voice narrator.
yeah. I hope that individual gets lots of acting jobs. Other than that, other than that thing we went to see, because he's got the voice
Basically,
for it.
in the when trying to hire him or anybody, they said, okay, basically we want creationist Morgan Freeman,
Yes, if you
and
can,
they got him.
and if you can do subsonic, we're good with that. That's
Basically your voice needs to be able to do reverb by itself. Like the whole, when the whole like when God speak, like again, dark matter. When God speaks, he is that whole that booming voice kind of thing.
yes,
Basically, you need to be able to do that, except deeper.
exactly. So yeah. So yep. So according to him, God was done making everything, and it was not just good, but very good. I didn't
Very
write it
good.
down, but I found the thought going through my head at the time was, and how did that work out?
Oh,
Like,
I know
okay.
what would be going through my. I know what would go through my mind is this movie ending right now would be very good.
But I couldn't help but thinking, okay, everything here is very good. Let me just go to the microwave and see if my hot pockets are done. Okay, they are. Let's get back to Earth. Holy shit! Look what he did! A minute ago, this was very good. So, I mean, apparently, apparently, the Supreme Being has very low standards for very good. I think at
Well,
best,
that's what happens. That's what happens when you let women eat apples.
there you go. But I mean, it's very low standards for very good. I would say things were okay-ish, but his perfect creation. Yeah, he made perfect creations, except they couldn't freaking listen. Uh, so
It's the weird thing is that if perfection means you can't. I would assume perfection means you can't unperfect it.
that's kind of intrinsic to
So if
perfect.
if the creation is perfect, then it means you can't fuck it up by one person eating an apple that you put there.
Indeed. And
It was
yes,
perfect except for this one fatal flaw.
hmm, indeed. And then much later, after kicking everybody out, uh, yeah, then the flood, where because of all the sin, we'll get rid of the sin with the flood, and everything will be great. Everything will be back to
Yeah.
very good.
How will that work out?
Yeah, okay. Plan A didn't work. All right, let's make a kid and send him down. Maybe that'll work.
Yeah,
Okay, the
actually,
kid's dead on a cross.
that's something else I have here as well.
Hmm?
Is that Jesus he Ray's thing where he said paid in full. He made the
Yeah.
analogy to a court
Yep.
with the paid in full, and I just wrote a little arrow. I just wrote about how his death was so painful. I just wrote insert Passion of the Christ footage. Uh,
Yeah, the paid
and
in
then also
full was the
something else
best
they said.
line.
They said it was the most gruesome death and grueling death ever on Earth
Okay.
ever. Which I
Okay.
said, okay, sure thing, Eric. And then also there's something interesting is that there was no other way for God to forgive humans for sin. There was
Uh-huh.
no other way because if there was another way, God would have done it that other way. It was like that is
Yeah. And our
there's only no other way if you're incompetent. Like
yeah, that's Ricky. I don't know if you watch much Ricky Gervais comedy. Um, it's great. Oh, look, there's lots of sin going on. I paraphrase, by the way, as if you hadn't guessed. I'll fix this by wiping every living thing from the earth. And then he says, "What's the squid ever done?"
Well,
But
squid's a sea creature. It'll be fine.
yeah, indeed.
I mean,
Especially
assuming
with
you don't like, except for the fact that you're changing the saline content of the water and the
yeah,
amount of light and the amount of just stuff in the water, obviously, because you're kind of flooding the entire Earth. It's going to put a lot of debris everywhere. So
hmm
aside from that'll be like fine or whatever.
absolutely. But
I gotta say though, the flood would very well succeed in killing everything on Earth, and I do mean everything on Earth.
I would probably say, well, I mean, life is pretty damn tenacious. I'm
Well,
sure
I'll
at the
say
very
I'll go ahead and say it'll
least,
kill most organisms on Earth.
at the very least, we'd have some bacteria hanging out because
Yeah,
you got.
exactly. Single-celled things are especially resilient. Let's see.
Oh, as for the before we get off of the debt paid in full, okay,
Uh-huh.
Adam and Eve sinned. Haha, here's your punishment, death. Okay, all is forgiven. Death. Wait a minute. You said the punishment was death. Okay, so you're absolved of all charges. Please proceed to jail. What? No, no, that makes no sense. It's
Actually,
it.
I forget exactly why, but the other day I was actually thinking about this further and about I forget exactly what caused it, but it was I was thinking about the the whole Jesus saving us from our sin things about how it's paid in full. I was thinking
Uh-huh.
about how I was thinking about because I watched some other atheist video thing because some heathen, uh, and I was thinking about how Jesus coming down to Earth and whatever he did on Earth is how it is in thinking about Christianity, how it's completely pointless. I mean, because if Jesus could have come down to Earth and made toast, and that's all he did, and then he just left, and then technically nothing in Christianity would have changed because in Christianity, the thing that pays the thing that ensures a person does not go to hell is the belief. It's not Jesus doing anything. It's the belief that Jesus did those things. No matter what Jesus actually did, it's believing that he did do those things is what saves you. I mean, so basically, God's got this problem where after original sin and after the flood, basically everybody's going to hell. So that's kind of an issue, I guess. And I guess for a while he just decided to do nothing about that for some reason. I guess he got stuck on Sudoku, maybe. But
He's busy. Supreme being. He's got
busy,
supreme.
busy. God was the
He's
yeah.
got supreme
God
things to
was
do.
busy for a while. So actually, I was
Indeed.
thinking about something else. Is that some people think that before Jesus, basically everyone just went to heaven by default. So then actually God sending Jesus was a bad thing because and it made hell the default instead of heaven the default.
Hmm.
So if first of all God if before Jesus if everybody's going to hell then God's immoral because for a little while he's just kind of letting everybody go to hell for no reason.
Hmm.
And if heaven is the default, then God is still immoral by sending Jesus because then it makes instead of heaven the default, it makes hell the default. So either way, that's kind of terrible.
Yeah. And how is
And
it? And with the cure thing, the cure. First, the cure was get the hell out of Eden, and by the way, you're gonna die. And then second cure was I'm killing y'all, except for you lot. Get on the boat.
yeah, but it
And
gets
then
worse because Jesus because he was talking about how man what Jesus did was amazing and it saved us all from sin and it didn't. Which what the thing is though, it's this is also something else that this was non-stamp collector did a while back was talking about how Jesus coming down and dying on the cross did not automatically save everyone from sin. It didn't make heaven the default again. In fact, it did nothing at all. Jesus coming down and sacrificing himself to himself on a cross
mhm,
that did nothing. I mean, I mean, sure. I mean, Christianity would make a little more sense to me if Jesus, sacrificing himself and dying on the cross, saved everybody who had, let's say, had ever lived and will ever live type thing. But even that, it did nothing. It's
hmm,
pointless because the only thing that saves people from hell in Christianity is the belief that Jesus is God and will save you from your sins. It and and that he came to earth and died on the cross and all that good stuff. It's not what Jesus did that gets you into heaven. It's believing that Jesus did those things. Like I said, Jesus could have come down and I don't know, uh, come down and watch a creationist documentary. and then left. And then if people believe under Christianity, if God decided that is what believing that is what saved people, then that is what saved people.
Yeah,
Because
as if
it's not because Jesus doing anything or even coming down. Sure, he come. Let's say God, just see Jesus comes here and does nothing, and then just kind of walks off, like gets lost in the woods somewhere. If people believed that was the story, then that would save them. Period. Because it's just the thing about it is that the whole thing with Jesus coming down, it just in general, it's just so convoluted and just so unnecessary. Because if God wanted to forgive everybody, he made up the rules. He could just forgive everybody.
you
So
would
this whole
think.
there is no other. Let's tie in this rambling back into the documentary. There was no other way thing. It's total bullshit.
One would imagine. I mean, being all powerful, what's what would be wrong with saying, all right, you know what, y'all get a pass. Y'all get a pass. See, because if the flood story actually has a little more merit, because that's crime and punishment there. It's understandable. You did bad things. Here's what's going to happen to you. And
Yeah, it makes a little more sense.
yeah, but this, you did the wrong thing, so we're going to torture somebody else, and then you're going
So
to get.
you're to torture everybody else forever.
Oh, yeah, there's that. But the alleged cure that wasn't a cure was we're going to torture somebody who is not the guilty party, which makes no sense. Let's not forget, there also is so much unnecessary theatrics
Oh yeah,
in the whole thing.
absolutely.
If you think a supreme being above all else would be a little bit on the efficient side.
Well, this is the same God who literally took forever to decide to make a universe. Because I mean, think about it, before Genesis 1:1, before God decides to start creating stuff, you got the heavens and the earth is basically just water, the fountain, the deep, and all that stuff. So
Mhm.
before that, God has just been chilling forever, doing absolutely nothing.
Mm.
So the Christian God is not just he's incredibly inefficient and wants to do everything in extremely convoluted manners.
He's a bit moody too. I don't know if you noticed.
Moody, yes.
Anyway, yeah, on Fridays, death. So, and when you're beating your slaves,
If you
make
think
sure they don't die right away. Otherwise, it's
yeah.
bad. If they die in a
Have you
couple of days, that's cool. Yes, sorry, go ahead.
remember that one episode of the Twilight Zone? I forget what it's called. Remember that there's that one kid who has basically godlike powers, and basically
Yes,
everyone in the town who has to think nice thoughts about him all the time, or else they'll disappear from existence.
yes,
I think
yes,
that's extremely apt for the Christian God.
indeed. Great, great. Thanks a lot. You know what I
God, I
got?
love it.
You know what I got in my? Thanks. You know what thought I got floating around the mind now? You're a bad man. You're a very bad man. Thanks. Thanks.
You're welcome.
Thanks for the Twilight
Well,
Zone reference.
it's all in the eye of the beholder.
I, yeah. All right. Anyway, did you come up with a most facepalmy moment yet, or you need more time?
Well,
There are so many to choose from.
that was one of them. Was the "There's no other way"? That was a big one, and something else that was a bit more science related, not theology related, was oh yeah, so they again are trying to be creationist scientists, like because apparently they are trying to claim. Remember, this is Ken Ham again. That creationists can't be scientists, and there are many create. And the next claim was there are many creation scientists, and that they are trying to though un-PhD these creationist scientists
Oh yes,
because the secularists, naturalismists, atheismists are in control.
indeed. Yes, I remember that part as well. Unp.
Dear
Uh,
God,
disturbing. But
yeah. I am looking forward to hopefully you and Paul taking this apart in a similar manner to is Genesis history, and actually something I wanted to do in the last series, but I didn't get to because I was just I had a lot of other things to do at the time, and also I'm a lazy procrastinating asshole. is the and that could be the name of my autobiography, but is that I actually would like to take part in this next series
Well,
with
and oh, speaking of
the
Paul,
whole
the funny thing is you mentioned earlier that these are things that have been debunked by various people and by a bunch of people on YouTube, and a popular
mhm.
response to that might be, well, what makes you think these high-end creationist folks even look at YouTube videos? Well, we know that because of the AIG mentioned AIG mentioned Paul. They mentioned Paul by name in an article like 3 times or something like that. So yes, they
Well,
do know.
he met them too. I mean,
Yes,
he's
but they
really
didn't
been making.
know.
I mean,
He was he
Paul
was
is
he was undercover.
he's kind of like the Jesus of the more recent uh community, the anti-creationist community thing. He's kind of like the Jesus of the community because he's a guy who kind of came out of nowhere and immediately started doing a bunch of really awesome stuff,
So
and then started making waves and upsetting and kind of like Jesus upsetting the Romans and the standing theology at the time. Paul just kind of came in and immediately just started disrupting the status quo of creationists, and they're all having a go at him immediately.
so you're saying if he makes toast, we're all saved.
Pretty
See this? See, and you thought I wasn't listening to your
soon he's going to
arguments.
start. Well, he only just starts multiplying them.
Ah,
He only starts multiplying the loaves.
Alrighty.
But yeah,
Well,
he's cool. I gotta say I like him a lot. I'm very proud to call him a person I'm acquainted with. I'm not sure we're at friend status yet,
send him a nice
but
fruit. Send him a nice
I
fruit
would like to
basket.
be
You'll be
part.
fine. Let's see what else we have.
Sorry,
I said send him a nice fruit basket.
what'd you say?
Send him a nice fruit basket. You guys will be fine. Anyway, looking through the
I'll be
notes.
it'll be if I sent Paul a fruit basket, it'd just be 100% bananas. I would maybe some watermelons actually. Watermelons, just watermelons with little stuffed T Rexes and bananas, and that's all I would send him.
Yes.
Because again, asshole.
Yeah, that's all right. Let's see.
You know what else? I wouldn't be ashamed of it at all. I'd be so proud of myself.
Lovely.
God,
All
I
right,
hate myself so much.
we've got yeah. For the face palming for me, we covered earlier on. It was the tornado spitting out a human. That was just insane. And the effects, you're right. That was like in the Fifth Element, making the bones appearing first and then the muscles
Yeah.
over it. Nice effect, but just not quite how their book described. They got a book. They got a book that says
Also,
how it happened.
I mean, they're allowed to take a little bit of creative. Fuck, I can't speak. Creative liberty with it. I mean, who cares? If God wants to create things by tornadoes and also apparently thunder in space. Remember that when he was creating? I have it here somewhere. Let's take a look. Remember he made the stars they were talking about, and then he made the stars also, and then they basically like everything exploded. Before
Hmm.
that, they had when God was creating space, basically, there was thunder. They had thunder sound effects, but it was in space. When he was like, they had a bunch of nebulae, multiple nebula, and it was thunder in space. I was like,
Well, come on, give him a pass on that. That's. I mean,
in space, no one can hear God's thunder.
yes, but even Gene Roddenberry he actually said, "Look, we know there's no sound in a vacuum, but we have to put sound, otherwise people are not going to sit through the hour
No,
TV
but it
show."
wasn't just that. It's not just that. I mean, I would have been fine with they just put like music and ambiance and stuff, but they had like actual thunder and lined it up with like lightning in space. Like they took they had actual thunder effects which were lined up with these flashes of light which were kind of like lightning in space. It wasn't just ambiance. They had like actual. It was like actually thunder.
So a lightning storm in space. Would you quit it with the Star Trek
Shut the hell
references?
up! No,
Which
we're not doing this again.
we just did. Sorry. All right, yeah, tornado making
No,
a.
it was like an actual lightning storm in space, and then they said, "Oh yeah, here." I said, "God creates," and then and I said, "And God said, let there be nukes." because God creates in nukes.
Indeed.
Let's see what else. And then he made the stars also, and then basically a huge thundering noise and just a bunch of sound and to quote Macbeth, a bunch of sound and fury signifying nothing.
Ah.
It is a tale told by an idiot full of sound and fury signifying nothing. Wow, that's remarkably apt.
Indeed.
And the next thing I just wrote was I just wrote not to scale because I just model not to scale.
Okay. And
Uh,
some of the things you could criticize in the movie are actually criticisms of the Bible account itself.
yeah.
The example is, poof, Adam, and he's got all the animals and all that sort of thing, but just Adam, no Eve, just Adam. By the way, they
Hmm.
skipped over that in the movie. They
Mhm.
showed Adam being created, and then all of a sudden there's two people walking. Like, okay,
Yeah.
we're skipping
When they
over
say
to
Genesis Paradise Lost, what they mean is Genesis chapter 2 Lost.
but yeah. So there was Adam, and then there was a cut to Adam with Eve. My question is
Mhm.
this: so I created Adam, and apparently the Supreme Being was unaware that Adam wouldn't be happy just hanging out with the beasts of the field, that he would want somebody like himself. He had no idea. No idea. Supreme Being knows everything, had no idea that Adam was going to be jonesing for a date. So God, so the Supreme Being, God, is creating man thinking, not going to need anything else, we're good. All right, maybe it was the hot pockets in the celestial microwave. Maybe he was
Or yeah, it's
distracted.
kind of like
So
inefficiency again.
created Adam. Wasn't even thinking Eve at the moment. Just poof, Adam got it. What precisely was the purpose of him having a penis? I don't. Why? What? You didn't think he was going to need a mate. So what? What purpose did it? What was it supposed to do?
Still needs to, I mean, he still needs to like urinate.
I okay. I have to mention this. There are those upon this planet lacking such appendages who still manage to evacuate their bladders on occasion. Uh,
On
so
occasion.
so I can't
You make it
really
sound involuntary.
I can't really accept that as the soul as the supreme being saying, you know, this guy's eventually going to invent beer. We better
And Viagra.
we better let him aim. So anyway, all right. So right. Uh,
Oh god.
let's see. Oh yeah, there's we already got Tyrannosaurus eating melons. Modern banana
Um
show.
yeah, and also something else that confused me was this is again a more a criticism of the design, kind of like when they said we're talking about fish and had a picture of a whale.
Mm-hmm.
Is the when they were after the he made the stars also, they showed the whole like galaxy awe-inspiring
Mm-hmm.
galaxy spanning images of stars and stuff, and then they cut to our solar system and had the planet. And I just wrote, are they saying that planets are stars? Because it's like, on what day did God create the planets?
Hmm. Well, we know ours was early on, but remember, planets and planet are treated differently. We're like the special planet. We got special work
Hmm.
done.
Oh God, that reminds me of something else.
Oh,
Oh God, the the Earth is at the center of several concentric shells of galaxies and
that's
stars and
right.
whatnot.
That's right. The shell. Yeah, that was early on. That's way back in the
Mm.
front of the book here.
I have not heard that one since The Principle,
Yes,
which is,
the
by the way, a geocentric documentary.
yeah, that was the justification, going away from us. All the galaxies and collections of anything occur in shells. That I have that on the same page as the redshift nonsense and the spiral arms nonsense, and the we would have run out of comets by now nonsense.
Oh God.
That's like
Oh, and
assuming
also when they
that
were
this
talking about like planets and stars and stuff, and they made fun of the idea of they said what do those stars and planets do? Form themselves? I was like, yes,
kinda, yeah,
yes, they did.
that's where we need Desert File.
Yes, that's what I was thinking too.
Desert File would come in handy. Because that does pretty much explain quite a bit.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see. Good, except that his creations couldn't be trusted. What else we got here? Oh, did you note? Of course, it had to be. Before even going to the theater, we knew it was going to be the case, right? The when they showed a picture of Noah's Ark, it looked suspiciously like Ken Ham's
Oh
boat-shaped
yeah.
barn. Yeah, funny how that worked out. Same as in that first the first movie. Ah, yes, and Noah and his Ark. $10 parking, don't forget.
Quirky.
Where the hell did Noah's family get $10 to park? All right, so let's see. Oh, there's your no other way part. Yeah. Oh yeah, and he said that's right. And that was another thing that struck me. Back to the no other way stuff. That was Ray Comfort talking, was it not?
I don't remember.
I think so. Good. You're
They were
successfully
kind of cutting between everybody.
you're successfully blanking it all out. You're pushing it into that dark space in your head.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah.
he said God had abandoned his son. That's what he said because there was no other way. So he abandoned his son. Okay, idea of Trinity refuted by a creationist. I'm sorry, you just can't abandon yourself. You're kind of stuck with yourself. That's the whole point of the whole self thing. Is you can't leave yourself. All right. Let's see. Adam brought death. Jesus brought life. Why do we still have death? Yeah. All right. Yeah, most of my notes. You already said most of the stuff. I'm flipping through pages here. I don't.
Oh, I mentioned half of the stuff.
Yeah. Well, there's. I did have to flip at this point. Let's see. Yes, it is. At some point, apparently, possibly during the face palming, the little note. It was dark. You remember it was dark.
Mm-hmm.
At some point during the face palming, apparently the little notebook got inverted because
Oh dear.
the notes continue on the opposite side of the pages, upside down. You know, like so. So yeah,
Interesting.
into the post show, Eric does the requisite bowing to AIG above everyone else
Mm-hmm.
there.
Mm-hmm.
But oh, that was also what they made the one part of the movie I actually enjoyed thoroughly. And I forget which one of the
I'm
esteemed
afraid.
panel said it.
You're saying okay. You're starting to say you enjoyed the movie. I'm very afraid.
This one part, if you saw it, you got a laugh out of this as well. It's when they pointed out that they couldn't doubt this whole Genesis account. Again, I paraphrase because they have an eyewitness,
Oh yeah.
and it was Ken Ham because judging by his age, he was there. They said they,
Oh yeah.
say,
I do remember that. That
I
made me smile.
approve. I approve. This is valid humor.
Actually, give me 1 second. I'm gonna see if I actually have that here.
All right. Let's see. Yeah. They just rehashed a lot of old stuff in that
You said Ray hashed.
the Ray. Okay, little slip of the tongue
I think
there.
they Ray hampshed.
Mm-hmm. That's
Okay, let's see what else.
let's see. Oh, don't forget, there's only two religions in the world. There's God's word and man's word, which what Kenny means is there are atheists slash evolutionists. That's one religion, and then there's the young Earth creationists. Those are the only two religions. The rest of the population of the planet, they don't count. I don't see why we should consider them at all. So,
Hmm.
uh,
Yeah, actually, I actually have a lot of. Sorry,
oh no, it's
one
just gonna.
second.
The after show was probably the good thing about the after show is it finally gave what's her name, Purdom, Dr. Georgia Purdom, gave her an opportunity to do something besides nod and smile. She got to actually make assertions, so that was cool.
They let the woman speak.
Indeed, in a very non-biblical way. She was almost teaching. It isn't so.
That must have been why they went extinct.
Okay, so I won't bother going out to any bars tonight if all the women are extinct. All right.
Actually, I took a lot of notes from that after show thing.
Oh yeah, the after show. It was rapid fire assertions. DNA degrading with change. Doesn't make new things. Just everything gets worse.
Well, at least they didn't say it degrades in water.
No, it did not.
If they had said that, I would have left the theater, found a table, and then flipped it.
Oh yeah,
Let's take a look through.
They restated evolution was made to exclude God again in the end. Opening and end.
Let's take a look. This was again. They talked about Ken said that the Bible stuff is all important today because it's an authority issue. And then he also said God owns us. So that's fun.
I object. He's not the boss of me.
And then of course, without God, morality is up to us. Of course.
Yes, you can do whatever you want.
And of course, God owns us because He is the absolute authority.
Right. Yeah.
Because God is perfectly just, we are His slaves.
And no one sees a contradiction there.
Nope, not even a little bit. This was fun. Western culture was built on the Bible. Yes, I actually wrote that. I actually have that here too as something else. There's only two religions: God's word, and man's word.
Yep. Popular hamism.
The evolution worldview.
Indeed, and he never mentions which God though. I mean, Thor.
I think it's pretty obvious. Actually, this is all Georgia. She said that small changes this was in organisms, that small changes cannot add up to large changes.
Right, which is just how could words of that sort even leave your mouth?
Also that there's no genetic mechanism to add information.
Oh yeah, no new information argument, and they did cart out all the old favorites. Ooh, and I hope I hope all your door locks are working within design specs, because don't forget what was Zwain? He was just the movie producer or something, wasn't he? And,
who? On the panel.
Yeah, on the panel. What was his name? And he said the movie was going to cause
something. I wrote down something, but that's not that. What I've clearly written there is not English. That is Klingon. I wrote something. Oh, it's Emil Zawarhe.
Zwain. Zwayne. That's him. Emil Zwain.
Oh, okay, yeah. He is the president. Actually, he is the president of Living Waters.
Okay.
And the father-in-law, apparently, of Ray Comfort.
There you go. He was the one that said Zwain was the one that said the movie was going to cause revolution.
Oh yeah. Actually, I kind of because each of them kind of got their turn in speaking. I kind of wrote down the different gists of their stuff. Mm-hmm. Let's see. Again, Georgia, she said that dinosaurs dinosaurs and birds are so different. I mean, dinosaurs didn't have hollow bones, for example, which of course some of them actually did. Mutations are detrimental. And also dinosaurs didn't have, quote, proper breathing features, whatever those are. Because I guess dinosaurs, they just didn't breathe. Oh god.
Well, I think that was in.
Oh god, you know what came to mind immediately when you said that?
What?
Potholer.
Ah, yes.
The same episode as Can You Imagine It?
Don't ask me to imagine that.
The dinosaurs, they're breathing so heavily that after the flood, because the low air pressure, they breathed fire.
Yes. Origins of the fire-breathing dragon myth.
I mean, can you imagine that?
Don't ask me to imagine that. Don't ask me to imagine that.
Okay. Oh, this was Danny, the astronomer guy.
Hmm.
He said, "What's the answer? Check the Bible." Uh, very good astronomy there.
Yeah.
Again, no old Earth creationists, and the evolution is a purely natural creator.
Hmm.
Okay, let's see what else here. Oh, this was Emil. He said, I'm trying to read this. I'm just going to read it for what it says, even though it's blatantly non-English.
Okay.
Message Godspeed is paradigm shifting. Okay.
Okay.
And
I.
that's something is not random but has purpose. Actually, here something, yeah.
All right.
I
I
have no
got
idea what that means.
somewhere in that section. There was some screaming that we're not the byproduct of random processes, which
Yeah, I
you
think
have to
that's what it
admit
was.
that's pretty much accurate. No, we're most of it is was not random.
Yeah.
Chemistry, things of that sort. Oh wait, laws of chemistry. There must be a lawgiver. We never should have used
Shut
that
the hell
word.
up.
There never should have been
Okay.
laws
Oh
of
yeah,
physics.
right.
It should have
After
been.
that, he said,
Mhm.
cause of evil is the origins belief. Oh yes, basically the reason we have bad things in the world is because people believe in evolution.
Most
Uh,
definitely.
and then
That's
after that, I think I remember what he's talking about here. I just wrote, straw men are funny. Because after that, I think it was him or Ken was talking about how they debated someone and how that person was just so wrecked with an X afterwards. That's where straw men are funny
oh,
because they were all
that was the
laughing at it.
part. That was the part where he kept saying instead of abiogenesis, he kept. Yeah, that was that. We talked about that earlier. That was in that
Yeah,
section.
that was also technically that was something else. That was the sitting in front of fossils guy. He was talking about how he debated the president of some atheist club and how he asked the guy to
You
he
believe in
asked the person
spontaneous
debating to bring
generation.
up to mention one transitional fossil, which honestly and which is kind of strange because they were talking about a debate about if God exists, and somehow the topic of evolution got. I understand evolution gets pulled up, but then he asked him to bring up one transitional fossil, as if that has anything to do with God existing.
Hmm.
But that wasn't. But they were talking about some other strong. I remember that straw man, but that was that. But this was some other one about. I think it was Ken who was talking about it. I don't exactly remember what the straw man was. I just remember it was hilarious.
Okay, that narrows it down. So sometime
Yeah.
between the opening title and the closing credits, you're saying there was hilarity somewhere in there.
Shut up. Shut up. Uh. Oh yeah.
This,
This was more. He rehashed. Rehashed a lot of stuff from his debate with Bill Nye.
hmm,
Like a lot of stuff. Like even afterwards, Georgia brought up the genetically all people are identical,
hmm,
and like genetically all one race, which goes back to Adam and Eve. And if people knew that, then there wouldn't be any fighting. But of course, if we're all genetically all one race and goes back to, I guess, whatever was after abiogenesis, then after, I mean, of course, then of course, all the evil happens from that.
yes. So we learned from this
Um,
that prokaryotes were inherently evil. Okay.
well,
Uh, yeah.
I think I'm pretty sure carrot sounds like a bit too much like carrots, and those things are clearly out to get our souls.
Indeed,
Oh, let's see.
as evidenced by their
For here I wrote
similarity to gingers.
no sin equals no bad things question mark, and then there was a part about aliens, and they're talking about Bill Nye and Carl Sagan and his he's talking about the blue dot picture.
Hmm. That was what
How he was saying how
no one's coming to
there's no
save
sign there
us.
will be help from elsewhere, and they're mocking that
Yeah.
because of course mocking dead people is just again hilarious.
If you don't see the humor in that, you must not be a creationist.
Well,
Um,
that and completely disabled people.
indeed,
It's funnier when they can't fight. It's funnier when they can't fight back.
I guess so.
Don't quote me on that. Yes, this is something I thought was also very telling. Remember how Eric was talking about how beforehand he talked with Paul about how this was supposed to be a movie to convince skeptics
Yeah.
in part, and then right at the end of the film, this was something Eric said. Where he said, "quote It's all about Jesus Christ. That's why we made this film."
That's, what's funny? Did you find it odd that he didn't show up till the end, till the after show? He should have been in
Um,
there. He should have been in there.
well, I mean, he's the producer. I mean, and sometimes people I mean, we can't all be like Alfred Hitchcock and put
That's
ourselves
exactly
into
what
our
I was
work.
thinking of.
So,
Alfred Hitchcock. He should have shown up sooner. Damn it, I always thought of this movie as his movie. Plus, he's likable. If you don't
yeah,
listen to
actually, at
what he
one point
says,
near the end, when he after the credits, I just wrote here because he was saying Eric after he welcomed everybody back. He said hello, my friends. And I just wrote Eric is my friend. Smiley face.
indeed. Well, he does refer when you and Paul and I were on his show. Remember we were in his webcast thing,
Yeah.
and
Oh, that was a while ago.
yeah, it was a long time ago. He always refers to his atheist friends. That's where
Yeah.
that's where I
Of,
sort of.
of all the
Hmm?
of all the annoying creationist people, Eric is, I think, one of the least annoying.
And actually, there's a note of sincerity. I don't think he's just doing it for show. I think he
Oh,
actually
absolutely.
believes what he's saying, and his friendliness. You atheists are my friends. I just want to get you to the right thing. I think it's in his case. I think that's true. I think there are some creationists that are making loot, and that's what they're in it for. But I believe
$10 parking.
I believe there's a note of sincerity with Eric, and he referred to us as his atheist friends. So let's see. Oh,
Yeah.
and Ham again. We're not just animals. So, no, that statement you just made is correct. Get rid of the just, and it'll be more correct. We are animals.
Well, he's also correct though. I mean, he's technically correct, but he's also incorrect. I mean, we are animals, yes, but we are also not just animals. We're animals and more.
Hmm. I don't know if I go for that because I don't think there's a
It's some of
distinction.
I think it's kind of a thing is more than the sum of its parts kind of deal.
Well, that's I think when did we meet? I think in the last movie night it was mentioned that the was it Neil deGrasse Tyson that said we're what makes us a different kind of animal is uh, there are animals that are tool builders. There are birds that use sticks to get things out of holes in trees.
Oh, and
And,
even more interesting, there's this particular species of bird that with they build houses with stuff they find lying around to impress the female into
hmm,
my house has the best swag.
indeed, but yeah, it was there are animals that are tool builders, and there's evidence that there are animals that are storytellers. That recount things in their way of communicating to their young or their group or whatever. But humans are the only tool builders that tell stories. So, all right, there's a difference, but we're still just a different, ready for it, kind of animal. So
I need to go wash my mouth out with soap.
there, I threw that one in there so Ken wouldn't be too sad.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Oh,
right?
actually, something else. One more quote from the movie. I gotta say, I love misplaced modifiers in sentences. So Eric was talking about all the stuff, and he's talking about, and he said, "After the movie's over, which I know you'll enjoy."
Okay.
He's talking about like
That's-
after you get your
yes,
popcorn and after you watch and then after this stuff and you'll enjoy all this other stuff. And he said, "After the movie's over, which I know you'll enjoy."
that's perfect
I said,
because
"Okay." I said, "All right, Eric. All right.
how
You
did
got one thing right."
yes? How did you know? How did you know? That would be our favorite part. Anyway,
Yeah. I'm sad you missed some of the beginning stuff because some of this is just, some of my comments from beforehand are just directly oriented towards that. Because at one point, you know how kind of in the Creation Museum and also on the Ark they have those wax statues of people doing stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But at one point, uh, Eric just kind of takes one of them and just picks him up and just starts walking around with him. And I just wrote Eric is equal to Samson.
Okay. See.
Oh God, yeah. Actually, a lot of the stuff before the movie was mainly just a lot of it was just behind the scenes stuff, like movie in the making.
I see. I saw none of
There's
that.
only like two. There were only like two. There's actually, as I think of it, only one coming attraction for a upcoming Bible movie, and it was actually, believe it or not, it was for Samson.
Huh. I
So,
I
which was
came in
a
after that.
very interesting story of the Bible, as again as dark matter has so portrayed.
Indeed. But
Beautiful.
we must have
Like a
skipped
lot of
them.
it was just like, especially like, let's see what they got here. For links, they got like his creationist search engine thing, and uh, the websites like Living Waters, Visit Creation, Creation Today, that sort of stuff.
We must.
So
We skipped
basically,
through pretty fast because
so it's basically all. If you want to fact checked, basically, so you just watched your movie. So if you want to go fact check it using a search engine that we control, go for it.
fact check it with the. If you want to fact check the assertions that were just made, why don't you check them with the people that just made them? Here you go. And okay, and then that's at the very end. They rehashed the part 2 is coming. Then I
And
trust you.
I just wrote, yeah, like I said, I just wrote to be continued and just with
Yeah,
the accompanying scribbling.
yeah. And I trust after that point, I trust you enjoyed and were deeply moved by the salvation poem.
Oh yeah, I actually that was the part I left
It's like
during the that song.
I gotta get out of here. Yeah.
Yeah, that was the part I just thought, yeah, okay, I don't need to see anything else.
Mm.
I'm not gonna miss anything through this.
Indeed. That
And that's where I finally thought this movie has outlived its usefulness. Heavy air quotes on the usefulness. But anyway, like
indeed
I said before, I would actually really like to be uh, a part of this. How to put it?
thing.
Uh,
The
Interchannel
the word
debunking
the
between you and Paul. Actually, I'm not sure because I know you did it with him with Is Genesis History. I don't know if you're planning on doing a similar thing for this film.
we haven't really talked about anything of that sort, and I don't want to impose upon Paul. We just recently conferred on the abomination that was a movie. Uh, it hasn't been that long, but we will see what occurs. But anyway, so I guess
But actually, I would like to be part of it. I part of it, and I'm not gonna lie, part of it is because I want him to make me want him to make me an avatar of one of his cartoon avatars.
that would be a good thing.
I'm not gonna lie, that is part of it.
I knew there was a motive.
Yeah,
Anyway,
and no offense, but not as the not as that that very nice Logi cat you made for me.
I had to make something. We were in a hurry.
Yeah, yeah, not as that, but as like the thing I have in my head is like basically the current avatar have, but basically that as like a circle on top of a person on top of like a uh how to put it you basically a Twilight Zone esque type suit
Ah, I see. That well,
because
tell you that for having a character to represent one, um, it kind of cheated. You just go and find a place that has a caricature guy, and tell him, okay, I just want you to do me. He's like, well, okay, doing what? And, no, you weren't listening. Right, you want you? Yes, just me. Okay, what kind of background you want? Okay, again, you were not listening. I want you to make just
Actually, I had
me.
a caricature done of me somewhat recently. It's surprisingly good.
Hey, send it over. I can animate it for you. And
Oh, absolutely not.
it's not for distribution, but it's entertaining.
I'm pretty
Anyway,
sure I'm going to take the Red's rhetoric approach and just say that if I try to take a picture of it, first of all, the camera sensor will just commit suicide. It'll have a hole burn through it.
all right.
And then if I try to send it via the internet, the router is just going to burst into flames.
You're going to which one? Just yours or everyone in between?
Just gonna everything. I'm thinking like a 10-mile radius.
All right, so you're trying to cause the effect we're expecting from the demise of net neutrality. You're trying to cause that a little ahead of time, is what you're saying. Okay.
I'm not trying to. It's just going to.
It'll do it. All right.
That is simply what will happen. These are the facts.
All right. Well, since well, that was a hell of a discussion about that abomination of a movie.
And it only took. I'm sorry you couldn't do it last week. Would have been. But honestly, you did have RJ there, so I feel like it would have been very difficult. I didn't actually watch it, but I feel like it was. I get the impression it was very difficult for you to get through a lot of your notes.
Actually, we covered the whole thing. We covered. And
oh, really?
It was a hell of a lot better than not better, faster than movie nights because we covered a 2-hour and 10-minute movie. We covered it in about 2 hours and 15 minutes. So
that's actually pretty good.
It was good.
That is the most efficient we've ever been.
And it was good having RJ there because what he specializes in is when he gets
everything.
A name. Yes, he is knowledgeable of everything. That is true.
He is the.
But
I've not actually been convinced that RJ does in fact not know everything.
Yeah.
I feel like he knows everything, but he just kind of holds back a little bit.
Yes.
Like whenever you ask him stuff like where do flies go in the rain, he knows. Mm-hmm. He knows where they go. He just wants to give the air that he does not.
That is probably the case. And let us not forget, there are things that he has forgotten, but he knows about them. He knows about them anyway. He knows about those things. And if you ask him about the things he's forgotten, he'll bring them back for you. He will unforget them on command.
I will say that is not the definition of forgetting.
Well, while it's forgotten, it's forgetting. Then he recalls it. It's not forgotten anymore. Anyway.
Okay. All right. I think that I'm pretty sure that definition is now rare.
Just because we've gone through our notes and actually it brought the whole thing back to me in frightening detail, so thanks for that. But
anytime.
Just in case, here we go, just kind of to spark your memory a little bit, just so that you can't sleep later either. Hold on, here's 1 second. Let me get the screen sharing going so you can see what's going on. And this is specific. You got the screen?
Oh yeah.
Okay, here you go. This is for you, Chief.
Mm-hmm. Oh boy.
Feel the divine power. Step 1.
For over 150 years.
Attack Darwin.
One convincing lie.
Didn't really go over that too much, actually.
Has prevented billions from knowing the truth.
It should be the truth.
The truth about who they are.
Oh, it's they.
The truth.
Oh my God, they're actually going to reveal the identity of the they.
And most important, the truth about who created them.
Really, we only have two possibilities. We just happened, or somebody made us.
On November 13th,
I was really taught that there was a
Okay.
Big Bang. There was
Yeah.
millions
And
of
also
years.
November.
Man slowly evolved.
Evolution has a lot of unintended consequences that I'm not sure everyone's thought about.
You have no meaning. There's no reason for you to
Oh, drink.
exist.
Stop, no, stop
When
it.
you
Drink.
start-
I call drink.
You can't call drink on a coming attraction film. All right, go ahead.
Says who? Says who?
All right, Steve, call drink. Go ahead.
Actually, yeah, that was the guy. They again, like I said, he was in the debate with Ken Ham brought him as a source when in the debate he had with Bill Nye. Actually, it was that exact guy, and he talked about exactly the same thing.
What a shock.
And surprisingly, from the same camera angle as well. But he was talking about the whole. I'm pretty sure again he was talking about mutations and creating new information.
Mhm.
And again, it's something I remember that Casey covered very brilliantly back when he did his whole review of the debate. But
So you're saying
basically, that guy was just categorically wrong about all the things he said.
So there may have been a bit of cut and paste going on in the making of this
Yeah, a
new
little
movie. Okay, all right. Hey, you're just trying to put this
So
off.
it's
You don't want the
definitely
mood
not
to
the
slip.
same. It's not the same clip. I know he didn't take the same clip. It's basically just the same guy talking about similar stuff from the same camera angle, but I know it's definitely not the same clip.
Okay.
Exactly. They just kind of recreated it for, I'll say, artistic reasons.
And it is your thinking that if you continue to speak, you're going to not be exposed to more of this crap? Is that what you're saying?
I deny nothing.
I'm sorry, that's a fail.
But
Start buying into evolution.
comes.
You've opened the door to say you don't have to trust the Bible completely.
Evolution in millions of years is the greatest myth ever forced on the minds of men.
It's not science versus religion. It's a worldview clash.
Explore the evidence. Experience the creation.
I gotta say
okay.
though, that thing they just kind of showed up. They just literally just flashed the different evidences of the that was the movie basically, except for about 2 hours. They just kind of flashed a bunch of stuff at you in very quick succession, and you didn't really get a good look at any of it.
Indeed, and I would say they're using the very loose definition of evidence. Would you agree?
I would say they're using a now rare definition of evidence.
Very good. All right, very good. Here's another 30 seconds of this nonsense, just to bring it back into memory.
In a manner that is similar to a worldwide flood, it's all flooding back. It's all rushing back to me.
Ah, okay. All right. So you got 30 seconds to live through yet.
Wait, no, I remember this also. This other thing where they're saying that the ice age was not the result of climate change, but is actually caused by the flood.
Oh yes.
Somehow.
And
Like,
don't
somehow.
worry about climate change, because it's just the Earth recovering from the flood.
Yeah.
Huh.
So at least they're saying it's real, though.
That is true. That is true.
It's the small victories.
Indeed.
The truth will set you free.
Okay, that's enough.
Open Darwin's mind. There's rubble inside.
So it would seem. Anyway, yeah, that was just to be helpful in case the memory of that event was beginning to fade. I
would say that was not very representative of the film, though.
Yes, but you have to admit, someone could have watched just that, saved themselves over 2 hours and at least $14, and come away with just about everything that we got from the film. Really? That's
actually. Hold on 1 second. Yeah. I just wrote. Actually, because I wasn't sure exactly how long it is. I thought it was. I thought it was around 2 hours. So I wrote around 2 hours of this shit with all underlined.
Felt like about a day and a half, didn't it?
Yeah,
anyway.
It did. It feels a lot longer when you're taking note of every single bit of it.
You know what? It really seemed to drag after I ran out of popcorn. See, at least early on.
My friends, they had popcorn, and I took I took a little bit of it at the beginning, and then the rest of the film I was just too busy.
Understandable.
And I missed out on popcorn because of this film.
There's always time for popcorn. That's crazy talk. All right.
Exactly. This film made me not eat popcorn.
I see a problem with this film then. Well, I suggest they not show it again in theaters. That's just my suggestion.
It's apparently only one night showing, which turned into a 2-night showing.
Oh, I thought it was 2 nights from the beginning. It was originally supposed to be
for a long time. It was publicized as only being on. Even in that one trailer, they said only on November 13th.
Aha, interesting. Okay.
And then they changed it so it's also on the 16th.
Ah, very good.
But,
well, okay. Admittedly,
that's only nitpicking.
I only started looking
and of
for
course,
tickets.
We wouldn't want to nitpick.
No, I only started looking for tickets in my defense after you tricked me into going to this horrid film.
I did not. Okay, shut the hell up. I did not trick you into this. You volunteered yourself.
You told me it would be an accurate representation of the origins of the
universe. No. He's lying to you.
I am lying.
These are lies.
Lies.
Lies. So only green is people. See, this is the absolute. See, you don't have God, you have no morals. You just start lying. What next? He's going to be going around killing people.
Well, actually,
and coveting wives.
Yes, if you believe in evolution, all that's cool. That's what they said in the movie. So, all right.
Yep. Mother of God.
On that note, I would tend to think we have brought that horrid film back to memory for more than enough time.
For far too long.
Yes.
I will have nightmares.
Indeed. Let us hope that it'll be easy to wipe that film from memory. And we're going to... You realize that...
Actually, the thing is, though, I don't want to wipe it from my memory. I just want to put it in my memory in a place, in a small box where I don't have to think, where I won't think about it if I don't have to.
Well, once it gets to long term, it'll stop popping up at odd times.
Honestly, I have to admit, I don't remember most of his Genesis history. I don't remember most of it. I have a little place in my mind in which I put creationist arguments, and basically it's just kind of
it lives
Paul's
with them.
Soup. It's just a primordial soup of just nothing in particular.
Understandable. All right. Well, I'm I'm glad we got time
This
to
one
do
is
this.
This one's even worse because that one at least had some kind of a coherent plot to follow. Because they started off somewhere, I don't exactly remember, and then they kind of worked their way consecutively through Genesis. This one was just all over the place.
Yeah, and the rapid fire approach was. I'd like to think it wasn't the case, but there were more than a few psychologists involved in the creation of this film.
Yeah.
The rapid fire assertions, and remember the whole truth, lie. That's a sneaky trick. And so anyway, I'm glad we got time to
SciStrike,
go over this.
So you're recording this?
Yes, of course.
Are you gonna put it on YouTube?
I was thinking.
Okay. I was just wondering if you were gonna or just could keep it to yourself, or or publicize it. Just wondering.
Oh no, you suffered through it as well. You should get credit for doing so. And yeah, that's why we'll probably put it up.
Paul, if you make it this far into the video, animate me. If you want to know, animate me, please put me on your show. I want to be internet famous. If you want to know the specifics of my costume, I'll send you a picture if you'd like. Just please animate me, please.
Are you fanboying? You're fanboying.
I am, and I'm goddamn proud of it too.
Don't creep out, Paul. We don't want Paul to stop talking to you. Don't creep him out.
Okay. Don't be a square.
All right. Well, yeah, we'll put this up on the channel certainly. That's why we avoided saying fuck. Oh, damn it. Oh, wait. Fuck. Anyway. Okay.
Shit.
Okay. That I'll preface it with the whole non-advertiser friendly opening.
Yeah, sure thing.
All right. On that note, let us.
Also,
Oh, you have more?
Basically
Please proceed.
within the next few days, or maybe like in a week or so. Basically, when I get time, I'm gonna take the rest of this, transcribe my notes into something legible,
Uh-huh.
and then photograph each individual page, and then put that into and so that whole thing can just so basically all my notes will just be I can have them in just one image, and then I can send that to Paul and you and to I guess anyone if I want to. But
Indeed.
yeah, anyway, so far I think I'm on. I've transcribed page like 4 of 18. So all I can say is help.
I'll tell you, it's not a bad idea because we have all these notes on all these things. We've all been doing this a while. It is really not a bad idea to have it in either text form or searchable PDFs and have an index by keyword, so that
I probably, and then eventually I probably should type it up.
Yeah.
Then it'll be so much easier to or add some kind of index to the back of this thing, because otherwise it'll be impossible to find anything in here.
Oh yeah, because eventually we're going to have such a body of knowledge of both debunked and not yet debunked creationist arguments. It's going to be good to have an indexed, a searchable format. So anyway,
well, this sounds like the perfect opportunity to shamelessly plug RJ's tip project, in which they are doing stuff. So go. I don't know if he's subscribed to it or just kind of look at it, but yeah, whatever it is to it that he wants you to do to it, just do it to it.
It's almost like you knew what I was talking about, Hill. Nicely done.
I have no idea what you mean by that.
Yes, RJ and his
by the way, guys, another shameless plug. Go subscribe to SciStrike. I mean, you're literally already on his channel.
It's
watching this video.
One more
and,
step.
And we're probably about 2 hours into it already, so you're probably not going to see this unless you hate yourself, I suppose.
Or if you
and just watch 2 hours of one person rambling and mumbling to himself, and then also a pug. So, I mean, I guess if you're into that sort of thing, I mean, you do you. You do you. But yeah, also subscribe to SciStrike. He's a pug. He debunks stupid things. Also, yeah, that's my plug for SciStrike. So you should go #like and subscribe. And I've definitely lost it.
Well, thank you for that nice shameless plug.
You're welcome. Anytime.
Any more plugging you wish to do, or should we wrap it up?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely not.
Okay. On that note, thank you for this fine interview, young fella, and I'm deeply sorry that you had to suffer through that film, as did we, the brave individuals who wandered into that. Screw it. There's no nice way to say it.
Yeah.
All right.
Did it for Paul and for you, Cy. Did it for you and for Paul. Paul, by the way, also animate me, please. Please. Love me. Love me. But not in a weird way, though. Not in a weird way.
Yeah, pay no attention to that guy in the tree outside your window waving. That is certainly not Hill.
No, it's way too cold up there.
Indeed.
I'm not. I am not going to Canada in the winter. That is not a thing that's going to happen.
See, by up there, I thought you meant in the tree we were talking about. I was thinking, it's funny how you know that.
Yeah, the bottom of a tree, it's just like totally room temperature. But you go up like 2 meters. I mean, it's just frigid.
Absolutely.
I mean, how do squirrels live? They must be aliens.
Indeed. All right.
Okay, note, I've definitely lost it.
Yes,
I am tired. I must admit, this whole time I have been drinking, but I swear, it's hot chocolate.
Aha. Pay no attention to pay no attention to the empty bottle of Bailey's. All right.
It's hot chocolate. It is hot chocolate, I swear.
I understand. And all right. Well, on that note, I think we've done enough damage. I'm stopping this.
Oh, certainly.